So what can gasification do for you? Well, the answer is a lot. Gasification has numerous uses and byproducts. Here's a couple just to get us started. Stationary power generation has really been my main interest, and it was really just boredom of a need to get rid of all this wood waste I have on my property. Just from, falling trees, cutting in driveways, things like that, I have a massive amount of wood waste. Before I would have just burnt this just to get rid of it, just to get it out of here. It costs too much to, just go chip it up just to chip it up. But now that I'm aware of gasification, that's what kind of got me into it. This is now a fuel source. This is super, super valuable to me, and I'm actually storing this stuff. And when I chip it, it's going to be stored in dry containers, like storage containers. Because now, what wood gasification gives me, and maybe it will give you too, is ability to go way off grid. Like I'm, a pretty long way away from the road here on the back of the property, and it would cost $10,000 to run an electric line back here, which I'm never going to pay that. But it kind of set like an upper tiered budget for me for gasification. If I can do it for less than that installed, then that's not a bad deal. And I think that's something that's definitely possible. And so as you think about gasification, it can take you way off grid. It can take you, wherever you want to go. I mean, the farther you get away from things, the cheaper land gets. And right now land is really valuable because you're seeing, this economic pullback, this recession coming on, and you're going to see a back to the land movement just like you do every time there's some sort of rise in oil prices or change in socioeconomics, I guess. Sure, you can burn wood for heat, but to gasify wood, you'll get twice the efficiency, so you can use less wood and spend less money.
So that's the gasification boiler, where you just burn logs at about 1,000 degrees centigrade.
And then you burn the gas.
And that burns the gas in the timber as well. So it takes about 32 kg of wood in the winter for a fill, and that does all my heating for 24 hours. So that takes there's 1,600 litres of water there. That takes all of that up to 85 degrees centigrade from one burn.
Gasification can also be used for transportation in times of petroleum emergency, much like it was in Europe during World War II. Nearly 1 million vehicles were retrofitted to run on producer gas. Now in more current times, we don't have quite that need, but you still see gasification-powered vehicles in alternative fuel rallies, road trips, and events like the Escape from Berkeley. While we're on the subject of motor fuels, gasification actually gives you the ability to make synthetic fuels, at least at an industrial scale. You can make methanol, which is used for race cars and also for the production of biodiesel. You can create synthetic diesel using the Fischer-Tropsch process. You can create hydrogen using the water-gas reaction. And there's also another reaction you can use to create natural gas. So that's one of the things that we're really lacking in the energy picture is liquid and gaseous fuels that we can use for transportation. Because solar panels are great, but right now they're not powering our cars or our transportation system. And that's the one thing that could really lock up on us and cause major problems. To address the needs of liquid fuel production, companies like Range Fuels are using gasification as a destructive distillation process in lieu of cellulosic ethanol to produce fuels like methanol and ethanol.
Range Fuels process does not use edible food products. Instead, we use non-food biomass and turn it into value. In the first step, heat, pressure, and steam are applied to the non-food biomass to convert it into synthesis gas, which is cleaned before entering the second step. Feedstock, such as waste wood chips, is fed into a hopper. The feedstock is conveyed into a devolatilization unit, and heat and pressure are applied to convert the biomass into a gas. The produced gas is reformed with steam into carbon monoxide and hydrogen, which is called synthesis gas, or syngas. The syngas is cleaned and then fed into the second step. The correct combination of heat, pressure, and steam from the first step virtually eliminates the production of tars typically produced by the other thermochemical processes. Our process is eco-friendly. It does not use much water and has very low emissions. In addition, ash is a byproduct of the process and can be used beneficially. In step 2, the cleaned syngas is passed over our proprietary catalyst and transformed into mixed alcohols. The alcohols are separated and processed to maximize the ethanol yield. Although our focus is on producing ethanol for use as a transportation fuel, the process also produces other alcohols, including methanol. The liquid products are collected and stored on site. All products meet applicable quality standards. In particular, the ethanol meets ASTM international standards as a transportation fuel blend component.
One of the solutions to our growing landfill problems may be plasma gasification. Plasma gasification uses a high heat, high intensity arc ray to melt out the metals in the glasses and turn the solid waste into a gaseous fuel. One of the main byproducts of gasification is called biochar. And that biochar is amazing because what it does is it builds a foundation where the microbes in the soil can grow from. It's almost like little carbon condos for the microbes. Now out here on the farm, I've got about 16 inches of topsoil, and it's very clay rich. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be using it to build my own soil up here and go for a completely microbial nutritional system and lay off any sort of nitrogen fertilizers, because I think those do more harm than good. And once you start using them, you have to keep using them. For emergency and camping uses, wood gas camp stoves are a great way to take local sticks and twigs and turn them into a clean burning fuel. Alright, so let's recap. First, gasification gives you the ability to turn dry fuels into electricity, and gasification boilers greatly increase efficiency, and they're commercially available now for heat production. Gasification is an alternative to petroleum in times of emergency, and gasification is at the cutting edge of alternative fuel production, solving our need for fuel, not just energy. And gasification can turn landfill waste into energy and keep toxins out of the local environment. One of the beneficial byproducts of gasification is biochar, and improves soil fertility and sequesters carbon. And of course, wood gas camp stoves are great for emergency and camping use.